3 indicators of a powerful childhood medium, according to my childhood. My experience as an intuitive individual started in my early childhood. Though there were other indicators, these are the top 3 on my list that convinced my parents of my abilities. First one being the dreams I had, the second, the noises I heard, and 3, the feelings I encountered. We'll dive into the first one, my dreams. Let's be honest, they were and still are nightmares. It's going to seem strange, but, wasn't everything in the 80s? That the person that guided me through this tough time was the chief of the Indian reservation in my hometown. I would go there with my dad to the general store where he could buy cigarettes tax-free. The chief ran the store, and he saw something in me that no one else had. He gave my father stones and told him we needed to hold them while we meditate. He needs to put me back into my dreams, and I need to take control. It is my mind, my dreams, and I am always in control. We basically got a blueprint to develop me into the strongest lucid dreamer ever. Now at 45, don't fuck with me in my dreams because I will blast you with my white light. That's for another blog. I thank that great creator every day for that man. I was a child living in a place where I thought there was something wrong with me. This man made me feel special, gifted in a way I should be grateful for. Though the happenings in my life at the time were frightening, I felt comfort in knowing I wasn't alone. Someone understood me. I'm thankful and have been blessed with parents that didn't disregard me. They never told me it was all in my head or just go back to bed. They always comforted me, listened to me, to my horrible dreams, and I could tell made them uncomfortable as we talked about it. I am thankful for that chief, for my parents and my older sister, who shared a room with me and never minded me climbing into bed with her when I was scared. The noises. Tapping on the walls, steps down the hallway, whistles from the other room, banging on the roof, just to name a few. There were times I would wake up my sister and think, how does she not hear that? It is so loud. Other nights, I would be covering my ears, watching my sister sleep peacefully. Most of the time, I never told anyone. I would just wait for it to pass, as it always did. One Christmas Eve night, the banging on the roof got so loud I went into my parents' room. I woke up my dad, and to my surprise, he heard it also. We laid there, we curled up in his arms until the noises stopped. He told me it was just Santa's reindeer on the roof, but I was still scared. The next day, I overheard him telling my mom about the noise. It wasn't until years later that I would read a book that explains that sometimes angels allow parents to experience what their child is experiencing in order to help understand and guide them. I thank my angels for not making me feel so alone that night. The feelings or emotions. One of the strangest things about being an intuitive is knowing you like or dislike someone simply by shaking their hand. Energy is so powerful and on so many levels. If your child doesn't like someone and can't explain why, know that their gut never lies. It took years for me to learn when emotions weren't mine. Probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. Even as an adult, there are still times where I stop and think, why am I so insert emotion here? Then I realize it's because these aren't my emotions. I know I have to take at least 5 to 10 minutes out of my day to clear my mind and allow surrounding energies to talk to me. Sometimes this means simply parking the car and just taking a few deep breaths. Sure, people walk past and wonder, what I'm doing and throw judgment. But that's when that zero fucks attitude comes in handy. So, how did I realize the power a photograph held? Remember, I grew up in a time where you had to drop your film off and wait days for it to be developed. When you brought them home, you held those photos in your hand and passed them around the room. I always held that photograph a little bit longer than everyone else, perhaps a lot longer. I always remember hearing, "Okay, Kelly, pass it along." Or, what are you looking at for such a long time for? FYI, it doesn't seem like a long time to me. In the beginning, I didn't realize I was the only one that held that photo and had like a million thoughts going through my mind. Feelings, flashbacks, words, snapshots, so many things, it was hard to keep it all straight. It took time and a few good people who believed in me to develop these inherited gifts. I still shock myself when I read a photograph or have a dream, relaying messages that make no sense to me, but somehow the receiver on the other end is brought to tears. Something really hits home. Countless times I've said to people, does that make sense? It's hard to explain thoughts and emotions that are your own. Now imagine trying to explain ones that aren't yours. I have come a long way from that scared little child, and I am proud of what I've developed into. The world is scary and always changing. I feel like people leave us too soon sometimes. The rewarding feeling I get from bringing others comfort far outweighs the criticism of the few narrow-minded, brainwashed individuals. Where did these gifts come from? Well, again, subscribe and find out, because that is for another blog. That is a whole nother story. Thanks for joining me for this episode of The Hidden Medium. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to give it a thumbs up and share with your friends or on your social media. If you haven't subscribed, be sure to hit the icon, because there are many more readings and life stories to be told.